Yes, are you ready with Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Luther Thompson, 26-00078, appearance please.
Anna Buckingham for the people. Karen Robinson, Assistant Public Defender for Mr. Thompson.
Okay, Mr. Thompson has a assault with a deadly weapon and a domestic violence second. Are we prepared to proceed today?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, we are.
How many witnesses do you have?
I have 2 witnesses, Your Honor.
Any preliminary matters?
We would just ask for the rule of sequestration.
Registration is ordered.
Preliminary matters for me, Your Honor. We'll call Charlotte Glenn.
What the name?
Yeah, we're gonna go up on this.
Right
Right here.
We're gonna come in here, right here.
Oh.
Before you sit down.
You raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give is the truth and the whole truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
You can have a seat. Okay, ma'am, there is a microphone that's in front of you. The purpose of that microphone is so that the lady that's behind you can pick up on the recorder all the things stated in the courtroom. It does not amplify your voice, okay?
All right.
So you need to keep your voice loud and clear. All your responses must be verbal, no head nods or head shakes, because we can't understand that on the record. If you have a yes or no question, you need to answer yes or no, no mm-hs and uh-huhs, okay?
Okay.
If there is an objection from either of the attorneys, you'll stop speaking immediately. It requires me to make a ruling on that objection and then advise you if you're allowed to give us the answer or not, okay? Please state your first and last name and then spell both.
The first name is Charlotte, is CHARLOTTE. The last name is Glenn, GLYNN.
Proceed, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Hi, Miss Glenn. Do you know someone named Luther Thompson?
Yes,
And who is Mr. Thompson to you?
he's my son's father.
Okay.
And a good friend of 50 years.
Okay. And you have 1 son together?
Yes.
All right. Do you see Mr. Thompson in the courtroom?
Yes, I do.
Would you mind pointing out where he's located, an article of
He's
clothing?
sitting to the left.
Okay. Your Honor, can the record reflect identification of the defendant?
Any objection?
No objection.
So noted.
Ms. Lynn, I'm going to take you back to January 11 of this year.
Okay.
On that day around 6 a.m., were you in your apartment?
Yes,
Okay. And is that the apartment with the address 720 West Ottawa Street, apartment 305? Is that in the city of Lansing, county of Ingham?
yes,
And was Mr. Thompson also in your apartment at that time?
yes, I do.
All right. Around 6 a.m., were you asleep or awake?
At 6 a.m. that morning.
Yeah. You
I
remember?
really just laying.
Okay. At some point, where were you? Do you remember where you were sleeping that night?
From the bed to the couch.
Okay. And at some point, did you wake up and see Mr. Thompson in the apartment?
Yeah, he was there when I went to sleep.
Okay. And what was he doing when you woke up?
No, me and him was, well, we was up together. I went to bed and he stayed up. I
Okay.
guess he was doing his little odds and ends that he does. And I got out the bed and I went down on the couch because my cable had got cut off. So I went in the front room to watch the TV because I could get more station.
And was Mr. Thompson there with you on the couch
You know, he was sitting in a chair
in a chair? Okay. And was that near the couch?
across where I meet him.
And do you recall, and how far, if you had to estimate, do you know how far from the couch that chair was?
You know, from distance.
From you to,
That
This
chair,
man?
Yeah.
okay. Let the
I have a
record,
little small apartment, I have one bedroom, so my
Okay.
phone is not even this big. It's like that.
okay. Your Honor, if the record could reflect that she indicated the distance between her and Mr. Klosnick.
So about 6 feet, maybe? You think, ma'am?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And when you woke up and saw Mr. Thompson in that chair, what was he doing at that time?
Well, he does his little odds and ends job, like he was like fixing his clothes or fixing his zipper. I think he had a pair of pants that he was fixing. He had was putting another hole in his belt.
So at that time, you think he was working on mending pants?
Well, he always do little stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you
Okay.
know, put little decorations on stuff. That's what he does.
Ms. Lynn, do you recall talking to an Officer Stelgis on that day?
Yes, I do.
Do you recall telling him that at that time you had seen Mr. Thompson potentially doing drugs?
Yeah, me and him both were.
Okay, what kind of drugs were you doing?
I was doing the crack cocaine, me and him drugs.
Okay, and when you woke up and saw Mr. Thompson, did you begin to have a verbal argument with him?
Yeah.
Do you recall what it was about?
It was something, a coat that I had ripped to pieces a couple of years ago.
It was what?
A coat
That you had what?
I had cut up a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Well, me and him both cut each other coat. He cut this coat. Now, you know,
Oh.
just back and forth.
And during that argument, what did Mr. Thompson do? What actions did he take?
Nothing, was just, you know, a verbal name.
At some point, did Mr. Thompson make a threat towards you?
You know, he just said he'll slap the shit out of me.
He said he'd slap the shit out of you? Okay, do you recall?
If I didn't be quiet, because I got a mouth too.
Okay, did he at any point have a weapon?
Well, the weapon that he had was the weapon that, I mean, it's not like he came at me with it. He had the knife putting a hole in his belt,
What kind of knife was that?
a little pocket. It
Okay.
was a black knife that had been there at my house, and I gave it to him that day. Like I said, I hadn't seen him for like 3 months. He'd come back and forth, you know, he'd visit me, stay a couple of days, you know what I'm saying? And then I'm in the center for like 3 days. So
And-
the zipper on the pants was messed up. And he had the, he was sitting in the chair, and me and him was arguing. I mean, I really argued.
And at what point did he pull out that knife?
No, he had it in his hand.
He already had it.
He already had it in his hand, so when we was arguing, he had it in his hand.
Was it only one knife or were there multiple?
I just seen the one black knife and I gave to the officer.
Okay.
Because they left 3 at the house,
Okay,
because he always carried a knife, you know, on the side of the pants. He had those many knives, but
do you recall telling Officer Stelgis that he had pulled out 2 pocket knives?
I really don't know, because
Okay.
like I said, me and him both, I probably said things that wasn't true, and then I probably added on a little bit, but yes, he did have a knife.
And when he had that knife in his hand, what did he do with it?
Nothing, he just had it in his hand. But he didn't have it in his hand like at me, he had the knife in his hand. You know how you move your hand and stuff like that, we're arguing back and forth, and I said I had said something about his dead mother, and I think it kind of pissed him off.
Okay, and do you recall telling Officer Stelgis that Mr. Thompson was attempting to swing those knives at you while you laid on the couch? You don't recall saying that? Do you remember?
I mean, I'm trying to remember, there was a while back, and like I said, we had been out using drugs, you know, and I was, you know, kind of like, I don't, but, no.
Do you remember laying on the couch if you had a blanket?
I had a couple blankets. Sometimes I throw it off or I put the blanket under the blanket.
Do you remember at any point Mr. Thompson swinging the knives at the blanket?
You know, not at the blanket, he was taking, well, you know, like I'll say again, this is my front room, you have to go around. He was standing at the island, but he was taking the knives in the island. You know,
Okay, so he was taking the knives and he was,
And he said something about my mother again, you know, I was wrong for that. You know,
Okay.
I was slapping the shit out. That's what he said. So this word slapping the shit out of me. Okay?
do you recall telling the officers if he said he would stab you with the knife?
I said I was afraid.
Okay,
I didn't know.
I need to back up because I didn't understand what she was saying about the island
yeah,
I had
I
an
can,
island, you know, like in your house,
in the kitchen.
in the kitchen, yeah.
Okay, what was happening with, he was doing what with the
I was
island?
laying on the couch and he was at the sink. He was an island in the sink.
Okay,
And he was standing at the sink and he was just, you know, taking a knife. I guess he was taking it out on the sink instead of me.
so he was banging the knife on the island is what you mean?
Yeah, it's a long island.
Okay,
You know, and it had a sink.
got it.
And he was standing at the sink and he was taking it and everything, you know.
So at the time, he's not in the same room with you?
Nope.
all right. So, Ms. Lynn, other than the knives being swung, was there any other physical contact made between you and Mr. Thompson that morning?
Well, I had called, I just wanted him to be quiet because I live in an apartment. And it echoed, and I've already got a couple warnings from the landlord. So it was 5 in the morning, I kept on asking, I said, just be quiet, so I called the police, a couple times I asked myself.
So before you called the police, did he at any point make physical contact with you?
You know, just like from, again, well, probably from right here, I was standing on the couch. I'm
Okay.
laying on the couch, and he was standing over. He
Just
said,
standing over you with the knives?
I didn't see the knives in his hands back then.
Okay,
But
so
he
you
said
did
this-
see the knives eventually. At what
Yeah,
point did you
yeah,
see
yeah.
the knives?
Because it was 5, it was dark, and I told the officer the same thing. He kept on saying, well, what hand was that? And I told the officer, "Look, I can't say that I see the knife. I mean, he had the knife."
How did you know he had the knife?
Because he was sitting there fixing the dip on his hand. Like I
Okay.
said, and then he was hitting it in the eye.
So you remember him standing over you and you
And-
assume the
and-
knife was
and-
still in his
and he-
hand?
And he would say, bitch, I'm sorry, if you say something about my mother again, and I was wrong, because his mother just passed a couple weeks ago.
I wanna talk about what did he say, though? Not about what you was wrong saying. He said,
He
if you
said,
say
I
something about my mother, what?
Don't say nothing about my mother again, because you know that my mother has passed.
He said that?
He did this one, he said.
He didn't say, if you say something else about my mother?
No, he was saying,
Because that's what you just previously said.
well, what he, no, so he said, I said something about his mother, and he said, if you say anything else about my mother, I'm gonna come over there and I'm gonna slap the shit out of you. So that's what I just said previously.
And Miss Lynn, did he end up slapping you?
No, he knocked the phone out of my hand because I was on the phone with the 911 operator. And the operator was still on the phone when the phone fell to the floor.
And do you recall telling Officer Stelgis that he hit you on the right side of your head with an open hand?
I had the phone like that. On
Okay.
the phone. And so he knocked the phone to keep from me from talking to the police.
And in doing that motion, did he make contact with your face?
Well, yeah, probably did with the phone, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing like- I mean, ain't like he did the fist and beat me. He tried to knock the phone, I had the phone in the hand. The operator stayed on the phone all the time until the officer got there.
Miss Glenn,
So she heard everything.
Miss Glenn, do you remember telling officers that at one point Mr. Thompson yelled, "I'll stab you," while swinging down at you with the knife?
And tell him nothing like that, because he didn't swing.
You don't remember him
No,
saying that?
He
Or
didn't
you,
swing the knife at all. If I said, I'm gonna say this, hell, that night I was very frustrated. I was high on drugs and we was arguing, and it was arguing about was drug, because he had switched to another drug.
drugs?
And I told him I never want that back in my house again, not like.
And that made him upset that you were talking about the drugs?
Yes, and then the hot and the yelling.
And did that cause him to then take that knife and stand over you
Well, he
because
was-
of the drug argument?
Yeah, two in a line.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, and did he swing down at you with that knife?
no, he did not, he had it in his hand,
Okay,
Yeah,
so he's
I told
standing
the
over you
officer.
with the knife,
with the knife in his hand still.
and it's your testimony that he didn't say that he would stab you?
You know, he said he'd slap the shit out.
Okay,
Slap the hell out of you, Harvey. But he said, keep on talking, I'm gonna slap the hell out of
and you don't recall telling officers if you said that? Okay, thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Cross exam.
Ms. Glenn, right?
you. Yes,
All right, Ms. Glenn. So, in the morning, you stated that you were sitting, or you were on the couch, correct?
yeah,
And, Mr. Thompson, he was on the chair, and that was about 6 feet apart from each other?
yeah.
Okay, so when the argument was occurring, was this when he was still about 6 feet away from you?
So we arguing all through the house. We arguing in the bedroom, I was in the bedroom. We arguing and just, stuff, because when I woke up, I kind of dozed off. And I kind of noticed that he had switched to another girl. And then that's when the argument really started, like 4 in the morning or something like that. And I told him I don't want that in my house. I'm on Section 8. If they catch that stuff in my house, because this is the second time, the officer in an ambulance will have to come to my house because of that other drug. Scares me because I have seen him in situations near death. Like for him to do it, I don't like to be around that. And I don't like my house. Now we were doing the crack cocaine together. We have been doing that for years together.
Okay,
But the other stuff, I don't like. I don't like the other stuff.
right. And so, but when this main argument was happening, were you guys about 6 feet apart from each other?
I mean, ma'am, I just can't say, like I said, I was in the bedroom, he was in the front room, we arguing back and forth.
Okay, so you guys were in separate rooms.
And for, yeah, we just arguing all through the house, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't that, us like no one certain just area where arguing started at.
Okay,
I believe that's the reason why I got off the couch. It came in the front room because my neighbor's bedroom was right above mine. So I said, let me go in this other room here and then maybe, and I kept saying, kind of keep it down because I already got a notice that if any more loud noise coming, I will be evicted. And that's what I'm going through now is an eviction because of the same. mess right here.
Sure, I understand. All right, now you stated that when he was sitting in the chair, he had a knife, but he was using it to fix his pants, correct?
Yeah, he fixes pants. He do little stuff like, I mean, he do little things with stuff like, he put on his shoes or, I mean, this is, he knew the doing for years.
Okay, so he often has a knife and is often fixing things in the chair.
Yes, yes. He does. And the zipper on the pants was broke. So then that's why he was sitting over there and he had the knife in his hand. Yeah, and it's a black knife, a black pocket knife.
Okay,
Because it had been in my house all this time. So when he came, he had just came that night. He went in there, well, he spent Saturday. They never go. He was there for one day. And I said, oh, take away your knife. And he said, oh, so I remember that was simple.
okay. And it's your testimony today that he never threatened you with the knife?
No, he did not threaten me. He had to talk. And he told me, if you keep on talking, I'm gonna slap the hell out of you. But all the time, he got this knife. And I don't even know how the girl went to you or whatever. I was just out.
Sure, but he never like came at you with the knife, never used it or never said that he was going to stab you,
And I
correct?
told him, say, put the knife down. And that's art. Put the knife down, that's art. You know what I'm saying? He walking back and forth. And we were just arguing like that. But my most, it was 5:30 in the morning. My neighbor had to be at work at 6.
Sure,
And they have complained and stomped on the walls and banged on the walls. And it was all, the only thing I wanted to stop was that and the drugs.
but he never said that he was going to stab you with the knife, correct?
You know, I've been knowing him for 50 years. Our son is 45 years. It's the first time that he's ever. And I was telling Ms. Diamond that, you know, in the statement, and the lady right here, the prosecutor. When she called and she talked to me, it's the first time ever, but it feared me because of the drugs.
But when he said this, he was in the,
There wasn't no certain room, we was arguing back and forth. When he said he'd slap the hell out of me, I was on the phone with the 911, and then when he knocked the phone out of my hand, so I guess it was the backside.
Okay.
And that's what it stopped me.
I guess I'm talking about the time with the knife. You said that he was in the kitchen at this time, correct? And you were in the room with the
He left
couch.
kitchen and he came in there, he said, if you say anything else, you say something about my dead mother, then I will slap the hell.
Okay, so he was some distance away from you.
Yeah.
And,
When the argument.
well, I'm talking about that specific time when
No,
he,
no, he was standing right over me again,
okay,
because I was on the phone, you know, he can't be 6 feet away and knock a phone out of the hand. He had to be standing.
well, I guess I'm not talking about the time when he knocked the phone out of
Oh,
your
okay, well,
hand.
that's the time.
Right, so I understand that you're stating that he did slap you, but the time that you said you saw him with a knife, then, and he had the knife, he was in the kitchen, correct? Is that what you said earlier?
At first, he was sitting in the chair. I'm saying it again, I get it together, but I'm trying to keep it together. Like I said, it was a while ago, I was high on drugs, don't sleep. He was sitting in the chairs, I have a little oriental chair. And like I said, for me and him, he was sitting over there, me and him arguing, and he was like fixing the pants, the zipper with the pants with the knife. But then when we got to arguing, he got heated. You know, I don't know if he meant it or whatever, but he was standing over me, but he had the knife in his hand, but not in a motion to stab me or hurt me. I was just afraid because of our other drugs. And I know I had friends that got killed, that their husband has killed them high and don't remember it the next day. So that's all I was thinking about at that time, which was trying to calm it, you know, down. I called the police 3 times, and the police was on the phone the first time. And the only thing I kept on saying, I said nothing about a knife. I didn't call them about no knife. When I called the police, I said, come
No,
again.
at this point, I object to narrative.
Did you want to respond to the objection?
Your Honor, I think she's just asking the question that I asked.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree that she is going beyond the scope of the question, so I'm gonna sustain the objection.
Okay. I'm just trying to get it out.
You can continue.
I have no further questions.
Direct.
Shortly. Ms. Glenn, you just stated that at the point it got heated, he was standing over you. Do you remember just saying that?
The whole argument was heated.
Okay,
But when I said something about his mother.
It escalated?
It escalated, yeah.
and at that point, when you just told Ms. Robinson that he was standing over you, had a knife, you said he didn't swing down on you, right?
He just had it.
But at that point, were you on the couch?
I was laying on the couch and I threw the cover back and I raised up.
You threw the cover back?
But the cover was on me.
Oh, the blanket?
And I
Okay.
threw it back to the side. And then he walked away. He walked away one time.
Mhm.
Then he came back again.
Okay,
So that's when I threw the cover up. I said, well, let me raise up. I just had a friend, her husband stabbed her 40 times on drugs.
I'm sorry to hear that, Ms.
So my mind was at this point, you know, right here, I don't know what may happen.
And you were concerned about what would happen
I
next?
was, yeah. So
I understand that. Thank you, Ms. Glenn.
You know, thank you.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay, I just need to clarify. So he came to where you were. How close did he get to you when he came and had the knife in his hand?
I was laying on the couch.
So is he's standing just over you?
Yeah.
Okay,
Because I have a
okay.
little armoire in front of the couch.
You have an armoire in front of the couch.
So I had scooted that back. And so, from the distance from my couch to here and there.
And he came, and is that when he said that he was going to smack you?
He said, yeah, but I had the phone in my hand.
No, but, so you didn't have the phone in your hand then at this point, though? You said you're laying
I called the
down.
police 3 times, but I don't know what moment that was.
You don't know which time this
Yeah,
was?
I don't know which time was which. I called him 3 times, the first 2 times. I
Okay,
mean, the officer was just talking to him.
Okay.
Have a seat.
but you called the
be
police
quiet.
because you were concerned that he was
So I
going to
called the
stab you?
police because I wanted him out of my house then because of the hollering and the.
Okay,
And that's what, and if you run the tape back, you hear everything, and it said, and the officer was on the phone. And
okay,
he kept on saying, ma'am, what's the address, what's the address? And I kept on saying, you wanna be quiet, I don't wanna send you to jail, I don't wanna send you to jail.
okay, so let's go back to the specific point, though,
Mhm.
where he comes, you said he comes before you and you can see a knife in his hand. Where
Yeah.
was, how was his hand positioned when he's walking through?
Also like this, the way. he
I
had it,
can't see you.
like this.
His hand's
Not
like that.
But like this. He
Okay.
had the knife. And I worked it. And that's how I know he had the 2 knives. And he was hitting me up.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Any questions based on my question?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Glenn, you may be excused. Thank you. You have any other witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor. The people will call Officer Stelgis. Officer Stelgis.
Start.
Stelgis.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give us the truth and the whole truth under penalty of perjury?
I do.
You can have a seat. State your first and last name and spell both.
Tyler Stelgis, Tyler Steljes.
Good to see you.
Morning, Officer.
Morning,
Where do you work?
City of Lansing Police Department,
And how long have you worked there?
over 9 years.
Okay, and what is your role at the police department?
I'm a patrol officer,
And what are some of the duties involved in that role?
responding for crimes in progress, handling citizen complaints.
And were you working in that capacity on January 11, 2026? Around 6:04 a.m. on that day, were you dispatched to a 720 West Ottawa apartment 305?
Yes,
Do you recall what the purpose of that dispatch was?
we were dispatched to a stabbing.
Okay. And when you arrived, did you enter the apartment?
Yes,
Did you come into contact with a female in that residence?
yes.
And do you recall her name?
Charlotte,
And do you recall her last name?
Glenn,
Thank you. And do you recall what Miss Glenn's demeanor was at that time?
she was upset. She was kind of speaking loudly. She was just overall upset.
Okay. And did you see anyone else in the apartment?
Yes,
Who did you see?
the defendant,
Was that Luther Thompson?
yes,
And where was Mr. Thompson located when you found him?
in the living room area.
And what did you do next?
We immediately grabbed him and secured him in handcuffs behind him.
And did you speak with Miss Lynn at that point?
I did.
And as a result of your conversation with Miss Lynn, did you and officers look for anything in that apartment?
In the apartment, no.
How about in general at the residence?
We tried to obtain knives that were allegedly used during the assault.
Okay, and was it your impression that there was one knife that you were looking for?
It was two knives.
Okay, and did you have a description of those knives that you were looking for?
I don't remember.
Okay. Did you end up finding those knives?
We found, the officers located several knives on Mr. Luther, yes.
Okay, do you recall where they were located on him?
No, I don't know.
And officer, did you notice anything else in the apartment that caught your attention? Was there anything that Miss Lynn?
Objection leading.
Did you want to respond to the objection or
I can
rephrase your
rephrase.
question?
Officer, you had said that Miss Lynn, what was her demeanor again?
She visibly upset.
Okay, and did you identify yourself as an officer to her?
I don't remember if I introduced myself as an officer. but
Were you in
she-
uniform?
Yes,
Okay, and you were there as a result of the dispatch, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and when you made contact, did she appear stressed?
yes.
Did she talk to you about what had just occurred?
Yeah.
Your Honor, with permission, I'd like to proceed with 768.2 or 27C testimony. Okay. Officer, please tell me what Miss Lynn told you.
Ms. Glenn told me that she and Mr. Thompson had an argument in the living room area. She was laying on the couch area and he was using drugs, so they had an argument. During the argument, Mr. Thompson pulled out two knives and he was threatened to stab her. And then he was in a downward motion trying to stab her lower body area as she was laying on the couch. The knives did not penetrate her. After that, she stated that he smacked her face with an open hand one time.
Do you recall her telling you if she thought there was a reason those knives did not make contact with her?
I don't recall.
Do you recall if she mentioned the barriers between her and the knives?
I remember her saying that there was a blanket over her and that the knives were hitting the blanket that was on.
Did you observe that blanket?
I don't remember seeing the blanket.
Okay, no further questions.
Cross exam.
I have no questions for this witness.
Thank you, Ms. Douglas, you may be excused. Any more witnesses for the people?
No, Your Honor.
Defense calling witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Argument.
Your Honor, to show assault with a dangerous weapon, first I need to show that the defendant attempted to commit battery on Miss Glenn or did an act that would cause a reasonable person to fear or apprehend immediate battery. Although Miss Glenn was a bit of a hostile witness and admittedly from drug use flipped a few times in her narrative, at the end, it always came back to the same statement that at one point contact was made with her face, that the defendant was standing over her with a knife. And although there's a discrepancy on whether there was swinging of that knife at that time, we know that he proceeded to go into the kitchen and swing those knives in a threatening manner while saying that he would hit her. Your Honor, second, I have to show that the defendant intended either to injure Miss Lynn or to make Miss Lynn reasonably fear immediate battery. I can't think of another reason to be holding a knife and making a threat. It's clear that the intent of the defendant was to cause Miss Lynn to either stop talking, whether it be about drugs or his mother who had just passed. It's clear that that was a notion made to cause her to stop challenging him. We heard testimony from the officer that he yelled at one point that he'll stab her. And initially in the report, what she told the officer was that he intentionally swung those knives over and over, later stabbing the kitchen sink and counter. Third, that the defendant had the ability to commit the battery, appeared to have the ability or thought that he could. This is made clear from the argument, how it unfolded, going back and forth. We heard there was an argument throughout the house that he went up, hit her while she held the phone to her face, and that he intentionally pulled those knives out to cause her to act in a certain way or stop talking about certain things. And finally, that the defendant committed the assault with a dangerous weapon, in this case, a knife. Additionally, Your Honor, I would request an added count of telephone interference under 750.540 parens 4. First, we must show that the defendant prevented, obstructed, or delayed by any means the sending of unauthorized communication through a telephone. In this case, that would be Ms. Glynn's attempts to call 911. We heard testimony from her directly that at the time she called 3 times separately, that Mr. Thompson came up and knocked that phone, whether it was his intention to hit the phone or to hit Ms. Glynn. He was purely trying to stop her from calling 911. Second, that the defendant did this willfully and maliciously. I believe this is shown by the fact that Ms. Glynn acknowledged it was 3 separate times. He was clearly aware of what she was intending to do. She stated that she didn't want to send him back to jail, that she let him know that. And clearly his purpose in making that motion and hitting that phone was to obstruct or delay communication. But because I believe we met these elements, I would request that the court would bind over on the felonious assault count and an added count of telephone interference with a domestic violence second to follow. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson.
Yes, Your Honor. I would argue in this case that there's not probable cause to bind over on the felonious assault charge. There wasn't any testimony from Ms. Glynn today that there was intent by Mr. Thompson to cause that assault with the knife in the case. I don't think there's any sort of argument that I can rationally make that there wasn't probable cause for a domestic violence to occur, but he's charged with domestic violence and a separate account of assault with a dangerous weapon. Those are 2 separate offenses. And so there wasn't any sort of testimony elicited by Ms. Glynn or that came out from Ms. Glynn that Mr. Thompson was using the knife in a threatening manner or intended to use the knife against her. In fact, she stated that he was using the knife to fix odds and ends, fixing his pants, that sort of thing. He had the knife, he was walking around with it. She stated that he never once came at her with that knife. He just had it in his hand the whole time. She didn't report any sort of injuries or any sort of cuts, anything like that. In regards to the interference of electronic communication, I don't think that there was any testimony elicited from Ms. Glynn that states that she was trying to be impeded from calling 911 or that she was stopped from calling 911. I think the testimony that was elicited stated that Mr. Thompson I think she stated that he
Snatched the phone out of her hand while she was on the phone with 911.
well, I think she stated,
That's the exact quote. I wrote it down.
then I must have misheard because I was hearing that it hit her after she hit it hit her face, it then smacked her phone.
No, well, knocked the phone out in hand while she was calling 911. Then when the prosecutor was still questioning her about that, it developed into the version that you're speaking of. But her initial statement was that he did smack her. It was when she was on the phone with 911 and knocked the phone out of her hand.
So I still don't think that there's enough there for it to show that he was attempting to prevent her from calling 911. It seemed that the testimony was that he was upset about her saying something about his mother, nothing about him like attempting to take the phone away or preventing the call from happening. So I don't believe that there would be enough to go forward on the probable cause of the felonious assault and with the interfering with electronic communications.
Just briefly. Your Honor, in regards to the first argument of domestic violence, we know that Ms. Glynn testified to contact to her face with the phone.
Sorry, the domestic violence is a second offense?
Correct.
It's a misdemeanor. Why are we talking about it?
Correct. I'll move on, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Regardless of what Mr. Thompson was doing with the knife prior to standing over Ms. Glynn, it is objectively true that someone's standing over you with a knife saying that they will hurt you or hit you or that you need to stop talking would put a reasonable person in fear of being immediately battered. In regards to the no injuries with the assault, this makes sense. At the end of Miss Lynn's testimony, she somewhat slipped and changed her story from the start, where she was much less forthcoming about the argument as a whole. At the end, she acknowledged, I was on the couch and there was, I believe she said, comforter or some type of blanket over her. That's consistent with what Officer Sell just said, that there was something between her and the knife that prevented an injury from occurring. And that was acknowledged in her testimony as well as the officers. This absolutely was impeding her from calling 911. Again, I won't go too far into it as I stated before, but she stated that she called 3 times, and before being hit to have that phone call end, she stated that she had told Mr. Thompson that she didn't want to have to get him in trouble. Additionally, Your Honor, I apologize. I forgot to state that people are also giving notice of a habitual offender fourth notice. Thank you.
Okay, today was the date scheduled for preliminary examination. This is the time in which the prosecution bears the burden to establish probable cause. So that's probable cause that a felony was committed and probable cause that you were the person, Mr. Thompson, to have committed the alleged felony. This is not a trial. They don't have to prove each element beyond a reasonable doubt. And if they're in laying out the evidence, there becomes a question of fact that has to go to a jury to determine as to whether or not what the facts are in the case. And if there's an issue that relates to credibility of the witness, the court at this time is in a position to address the credibility issue. We had testimony today first from a Charlotte Glenn. She testified that the relationship she shared with the person she identified in this court as Luther Thompson is that they have a child in common, 45 years of age, and that they are longtime friends of over 50 years. That on or about the date of January 11th, 2026, at approximately 6 o'clock in the morning, between 5:30 and 6 a.m., that the parties were in the home, that they woke up, that she went from the bedroom to the living room because her cable had been shut off. She wanted to watch television, that there was an argument going on between her and the defendant, an argument relative to someone slicing or cutting up the coat. She even showed a cut on the coat that she was wearing today, and that argument had gone on in several rooms of the house, that the defendant was at the time working on some odds and ends or fixing either or both a pair of jeans, a zipper that I believe she said was needed to be fixed, and or putting another hole in a belt, which she said he commonly did, and that he was using the pocket knife or knives to make these corrections or fix whatever he was fixing. She did admit that the both of them were under the influence of cocaine at the time of the alleged incident, that during the argument that the defendant threatened. First, she said it was slap the shit out of her, but she did correct herself and it was slap the hell out of her after the victim made some statements regarding the defendant's mother, which I think on a previous matter, the defendant did recently share about the loss of his mother. And so the defendant allegedly was in the kitchen area at some point with knives in his hand. The victim testified that he was using such knives to, I guess, hit or pound the island in the kitchen. It doesn't sound like the house is a very large space. She did, however, testify that at some point during the altercation that the defendant came towards the area where she was as he was threatening to slap the hell out of her, and that he had a knife in his hand. The court specifically questioned her about the position of his hand when he approached her while she was laying down. She said he had the knife's hand out, which the court would believe sufficient to support the element that's in question here as to whether or not the defendant had or did an act that would cause a reasonable person to fear or apprehend an immediate battery. If I am in an argument or a heated discussion with you as I'm laying down and you have knives in your hand whether you're under the influence of a drug or not, but especially if you're under the influence of a drug, and you come towards me like this, a reasonable person would fear or apprehend that you're going to cause harm to them with the use of the knife. The court is satisfied that there's sufficient probable cause to assault with a deadly weapon. That will be bound over to the circuit court. The court will note the people are putting the defense on notice of habitual fourth offense charge. The domestic violence is a misdemeanor. The court does not need to address probable cause. That will be bound over. The people are asking to add a count 3, interfering with a 911 call. The elements would be that the defendant prevented or attempted to prevent Miss Glenn from reporting or making a 911 call. Second, the defendant used force or physical force against Miss Glenn when preventing or attempting to prevent her from reporting to alleged crime. Third, the defendant's use of force involved committing or attempting to commit crime identified as was previously described was either to threat or a threat to kill or injure any person or a threat to cause property damage. Again, the testimony that we have from Ms. Glenn is that as she was making a phone call, and apparently she called the police 3 times during this ordeal, and she testified that she originally was calling because she just wanted the defendant out of the house. However, the Officer Sturgis testified under oath that he was dispatched for a stabbing, not unwanted subject. And that when he arrived, that the testimony that, or the statement that he received from the alleged victim, which was admitted under 27C, was that the defendant had attempted to stab her. And the testimony in court today under oath from the alleged victim is that while she was making one of the 3 911 calls, that the defendant acted on his threat to slap the hell out of her, and that he smacked her, causing the phone to drop out of her face. She said the phone was to her hand, he smacked it out of her. And so that court finds that there's sufficient probable cause to support that he took an action that would prevent a crime report. So the court will add a count 3 of telephone interference that will be bound over to the circuit court for further prosecution. Bind over date in this matter is going to be February 11th. That's the date the circuit court receives the district court file. It's not a date that you need to appear in the circuit court. Okay, sir? Okay, sir?
Yes.
Your next court date is going to be a pretrial in the circuit court. You stay in contact with your attorney. Do you have any questions at this time? So, bond was set at 2,000 personal recognizance with a no contact order. You're not to have contact directly or indirectly with Charlotte Glenn, nor are you to be within 2,000 feet of wherever she is. That will continue. Any additional matters for the record?
People.
No, Your Honor.
You're all set.